January 5th, 2020. This is your budget. First year and also that we have really great staff. A lot the last meeting. Well, and hand over the gavel to Mayor Cutchin, and also welcome Square Carmen and then maybe
Excuse me, but we have no sound on Zoom.
Here. Right.
We still have no sound on Zoom.
Oh. That's one test too.
Can you hear us now? Is it set the genre?
No, the generals. That Elder Canyon sounded great earlier.
That's better for me.
Yeah, it's about every third word or fourth word.
Try switching back over on the microphone to the one we're on, just to see if it'll reset itself. The loggy rally, try that and test. Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay, weird.
You go. All right. Beckett, you go.
Councillor Hooker here. Councillor Bjornson,
Here,
Councillor Tarman,
Here.
Councillor Hooker here, Mayor Cutchin,
Here.
Councillor Kenyon.
Here.
These are done.
Thanks. First order of business is going to be oath of office and swearing in for myself and Lucy. James, you can go over that or?
I've delegated that to Jackie.
Okay. Rise and raise your right hand. Yeah.
I state your name. Solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
Constitution and laws
and the state of Oregon
in the state of Oregon.
and the Oak Ridge City Charter, ordinances, and council rules of procedure. For the city of Oak Ridge,
The city of Oak Ridge.
and that I will faithfully and honorably perform the duties of the office for which I am about to assume.
Before we get started, I want to make one correction to the agenda for 15 correction, because it comes early on, but I want to move the mayor comments and council comments to after public comment. because you can respond to any public comment. That's not very. So. Happy New Year. Yeah. I would first like to thank the voters of Oak Ridge who elected me to office. Excited to bring my professional experience and Oak Ridge corporate knowledge to overcome the challenges at hand. They're not insurmountable, but will take the hard work of all the city council committees, staff to resolve. To all the voters of Oak Ridge, I pledge to be a servant leader of this community, but without your attention and support, this can't get done. And I extend a heartfelt thanks to outgoing Mayor Chrissy Hollett and Councilor Bobby Whitney for their significant efforts, commitment, and volunteerism. I'd also like to offer a special thanks to Councilor Cleoff, who has resigned his position for personal reasons. Your presence will be hard to replace. To those incumbent councilors who will continue to serve, Councilors Arnson, Coker, Hooker, and Kenyon, I know the time commitment is tremendous. Balancing time between city responsibilities, family, and careers is difficult. Thank you for that sacrifice. I'd also like to offer a hearty welcome aboard to Councilor Carmen. So I'm here to deliver the State of the City address, but being newly elected, I can't make any incumbent observations about the condition of the municipality. Though through my previous experience on staff does provide some insights, and I'll take the opportunity to provide my vision for the next 4 years. Working with the rest of the City Council and the Budget Committee, you'll see a comprehensive look at fiscal year budget for 2022-23 and adopt a budget balanced. It will not be an easy task, but we will focus on continuing to provide those critical services required of an incorporated city. So some timely grants have provided unexpected revenue over the past 18 months. The city continues to experience an ongoing budget deficit if calculated without the benefit of those grants. This council will have to work together to solve the challenges which lie ahead. In the end, regardless of our differences, each of us wants to create a brighter future for the city. Best represent all the citizens of Oak Ridge, I will encourage informed, healthy, and respectful debate. We will adhere to the requirements, of the city charter, and Oregon budget law while conducting meetings following the guidance of council rules and Robert's Rule of Order. Together, we will use the 2020-2025 City of Oak Ridge strategic plan and its goals as a guidebook for decision making. Each motion made by a city council should be in support of one of these goals. During these fiscal challenges, economic development, revenue development, and frugality will be the focus for the city council and staff. Let's empower our committees. There's a wealth of talent which can help the city council in their tasks. Those issues which require extensive research and deliberation, it is crucial to refer that work to a committee, work with staff to provide recommendations which lead to more informed, deliberate, and effective councils. Communication with the citizens of Oak Ridge and city partners is critical. We will use multiple methods to communicate city news and business, including a monthly printed mayor's newsletter and mayor's standing office hours. I personally committed to not discuss any public city business on any private online forum. Oregon's public meetings law and the federal sunshine law give guidance here. In addition, I strongly encourage each councilor to attend meetings in person out of respect for their constituents, unless their schedule prohibits. It will greatly increase the trust between city council and the public. Lastly, I want to affirm my faith and admiration in our city staff. They are dedicated, talented, and committed to service to our citizens. Unless proven otherwise, each of them has my full support and confidence. So that's my very brief state of the city. So we'll move on. As you know, I referred to it in my speech, Councilor Cleoff did resign. And so as agenda on the agenda today is the way forward to that. Best of luck, Audie. I think you're online here, and best of luck to you in the future. With that, we'll go to public comment. Anyone in the room would like to? Yeah.
I have a sheet that I would make it conflict with reference.
But for the record, can you state your name?
Kelly Brewer, 48471 Lewis Street. wanted to address a few concerns that I have in regards to the proposed plan Red will be presenting to you today in regards to the house turnaround. And highlighted my concerns showing how this proposed agenda is not working or honest. We believe that fear is being used to disqualify even considering a solution for the case issue. First and foremost, I want to point out a few things. We, the residents of Hill Street, have never requested that this area be used for, as Rick is stating, is part of the issue. This area has never been used for parking. Multiple times, both in and out of city council, I have requested specifics for the pipe and valve question. Each time I was told that no one, including Public Works, nor the city planner could answer that question, and yet they're claiming it needs to be replaced. After calling both Lane County Drinking Water Authority as well as the engineer for the city at Hodges, we're coming to find out that there's no record of this install with Lane County or the city engineer. We are expected to take the word of Public Works that the only solution should cause the residents to choose between road safety and $25,000. Yet in actuality, the truth is that this is an operator installer error trying to be swept under the rug and we suffer for it. Tuesday morning, my husband Damien called Ferguson Waterworks and spoke with the rep Jeff Hart about Rick's estimate. He confirmed that all 10-inch water pipes and valve cans are rated for the same vehicular traffic, and therefore the current pipe and can should be more than adequate if enclosed with rock and chopped concrete. Rick also states in his agenda that Ed Hodges was consulted along with Public Works. When Damien called Ed Hodges Tuesday morning, Mr. Hodges was unaware of this meeting. CMAL was a plan for this valve cluster to be replaced. Nor did he have any input, seeing that he didn't install it. He said that the only concern that he had about this was the 100-foot easement, not going to be in question. Mr. Hodges stated that Chuck Kernick and Robert Christian installed the valve cluster incorrectly, and by not installing the can at the required depth, especially seeing how close it is to the street, it has become an issue that needs to be abandoned and relocated. Now we're being told that the fact that Public Works cut corners when installing this valve, the residents of Hill Street are paying the price. And in fact, we're being told it's going to cost roughly $25,000. I'd also like to address the Parks and Recs plan that Rick is pushing. As you can see from the maps I've highlighted, this is well-field acreage and never part of the plan. According to Rick, the area is designated to host other park and recreation areas. That was in 2010. There's even a plan for suitable off-street parking for community events, but my question is where? As you can see from every map on the agenda, this area is referred to a vegetation buffer or a well-field future expansion. As I've repeatedly mentioned, we want to leave it as is. No parking, no through traffic. We are asking that it strictly be used for the residents and few visitors of our street to turn around and all outside of the 100 easement. Sincerely hope you take the time to ask the question and consider what I pointed out when hearing the agenda and plan for this area. Regardless of what anybody said, there's absolutely no reason to deny the residents and visitors of Hill Street a safe place to turn around. All the time and effort spent costing taxpayers money by over Public Works staff has been in opposition of a solution, working against the community under false pretenses, making it seem like we're being unreasonable. They've shown the council through petitions and attendance that we're serious about. We just no longer speak for a resident. I sent out an email a couple weeks ago in regards to our neighbor having their mailbox taken out by a delivery truck. It's been going on for almost a year. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else in the room want to? On the Zoom, looks like we have a couple, Councilor Spliff, would you like to start?
You're muted.
Okay, I'd like to explain to my constituents out there that due to medical conditions unforeseen, when I put in for the position, I have to think of the city and the citizens first. And outside of my health, I can no longer perform the duties that I was assigned. And strictly due to medical reasons, I felt it best to resign when I did. And so you guys could get somebody in for budget season instead of trying to prolong everything. As you can tell, my speech is not totally there. I had brain surgery and it's affected me more, and it's only going to get worse. So I hope, and I apologize if this was here when I first started on council, I wouldn't have ran for council, but it is now. And so with heavy heart is why I did it, and medical reasons I've got to step down. So I'm sorry. I'll try to continue in the future with little things when I can assist anyone out there. But as it stands, thank you very much for your confidence in me, the city of Oak Ridge, and I appreciate it very much. So thank you, and congratulations to the new council up there, and I hope you get somebody in that's just as good as I was for replacement. Thank you very much, and thank you for the time.
Thanks very much. Next, I think I see, is it Rusty Ockman? Is that you up there?
Yes, it is. Rusty Ackland, 48265 East Commercial Street. I would just like to ask about I had applied about 2 months ago, I think, or so, for a committee position on the ODAC committee, and I have not heard anything or seen anything regarding that. So I just wanted to put out there that I am still willing to do that, and wanted to make sure that when that does come up, if I need to be there, that somebody notifies me ahead of time that I do need to be there for that position when you get ready to make that decision. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Rusty, and we'll make sure to keep in the loop as it goes forward.
Thank you.
Next, is it Trudy? Lights kind of glaring.
Hi, Trudy Hammond, 76349 Willamette Way. I would just like to extend a great thank you for Audie and Chrissy's and Bobby Whitney's services. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. You've done a great job. And I look forward to the newcomers, what changes are made and how things start looking different for the city of Oak Ridge. I'm looking forward to teamwork, unity in the community, and hopefully some animal services budgeting. Thank you.
Right, anyone else on the Zoom, online, in the room? Okay, we'll move on. Next will be council comments and announcements. Anyone? Hey. Councilor Kenny.
My comment would be, for the question is, I know we have on the agenda tonight, the Hill Street issue. And I'm just wondering if, that Ms. Brewer will be participating in that, because I appreciate hearing everything that she said, but since I don't have it written in front of me, everything you said, it might be helpful if we spare it again.
I asked her to comment during citizen comments. We did have an extensive session with her before, so I've asked her to not speak during the. Any other councilors? Councilor Johnson? The announcements?
Yeah, no announcements for me. I just wanted to extend my thanks to outgoing Mayor Hollett and Bobby Whitney as well, and Audie, for their services, and it's been great working with all of them. I wasn't able to attend the last meeting as I was out of town, so I just wanted to thank them publicly and personally.
Thanks, Councilor. We'll move on, but I do have one correction to the agenda which I missed, which is Commissioner Partain is unable to attend tonight, so she will not be addressing that motion. Your appointments for any commission reappointment. Moving on to consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Are we gonna do? This.
I forgot to ask. Does anyone else besides me?
Yeah, I wanted to, it's not a correction, but I wanted to add an item, or maybe it would follow doing topic, but, like to discuss the city administrator annual reviews. Very brief, and I probably, it could fit right in with the discussion of the content.
Okay, and it's not an executive session type thing. Okay. Okay, we'll add that on if, and remember to find me at that period. Any more additions, corrections, or adjustments from the councilors? Okay. Again, back to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Move we approve the consent agenda.
Okay,
I'll second that.
The motion to approve the consent agenda was made by Councilor Kenyon, seconded by both Councilor Hooker and Johnson. Jackie, actually, we'll do a voice vote here. Hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand and keep it up. And Councilor Johnson, is that a yes from you?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to business from the city council. First order of business is the election of council president. James, do you want to introduce that?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. So chapter 4, section 17 of the city charter requires city council to elect a council president. The first meeting odd number of years today. Council president is responsible for performing the duties and functions of the mayor when the mayor is absent or unable to perform their duties and functions as mayor. So to looking for nomination.
Stay. We have a motion.
I'd like to nominate somebody if nobody else has one yet.
I got the Councilor Hooker first, so we'll start there. How's that? Maybe you got an act.
Good. I would like to make a motion that we elect Councilor Kenyon as council.
Okay, motion to elect Councilor Kenyon as council president was made by Councilor Hooker and seconded by Councilor Coker. Discussion. Councilor Kenyon.
First, I would accept the nomination, but I wondered if the motion should say appoint president.
Read that as an amendment. So we'll deal with the amendment first. Does anyone second that? You want to make it into a motion?
Friendly amendment. Let's change that word. I'm okay with that. I am.
It is elect in the city charter.
It is?
Yeah. Which, like I also felt was odd when I read that, but
You mind? All right, more discussion. Yeah.
One of the reasons that I thought this, Dawn knows council roles, she knows Robert's roles, she knows the charter back to back. I think she'd be very good at doing, keeping things going, you know.
Thank you. Okay, Councilor Garman, any comments?
I agree with Council Hooker.
And Councilor Johnson. Sorry, go ahead.
I agree with Councilor Hooker as well.
Dawn's knowledge and expertise and everything is.
All right, there's any more discussion at all around the room? No. Okay, the motion was to elect was to nominate Councilor Kenyon to serve as the council president from January 5th, 2023 to January 2nd, 2025. All right. Jackie, can you call for a vote, please?
Counselor Coker. Aye. Counselor Hooker. Aye. Counselor Kenyon. Aye. Mayor Tutchin.
Aye.
Counselor Bjornson.
Aye.
All right.
Counselor Tarman. Sorry. We don't always forget it, somebody.
All right, motion passes unanimous. Thank you. Next up is the swearing of the city reporter, or city administrator as well. Clevenger, are you ready for that?
I am ready.
Right hand, please. I, James Clevenger,
I, James Clevenger,
do solemnly swear or affirm
solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
I will support the Constitution
and the law of the United States
the law of the United States
and the state of Oregon,
state of Oregon,
the Oak Ridge City Charter,
Oak Ridge City Charter,
ordinances, and council rules of procedure
ordinance, rules of procedure,
for the city of Oak Ridge.
city of Oak Ridge,
I will faithfully and honorably
faithfully and honorably
perform the duties of the office of city recorder.
execute the office of city recorder. Temporarily, hope.
All right, next is item 10.3, and that's review of the city administrator contracts. And this will also include an addendum as well as a discussion of the CA review process. So before we get started, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, was as counselors go into discussion, please be sensitive that we don't want to go into stuff that we discussed in executive session. Could be discussed. All right, do I hear a motion? There is on the agenda, so.
Yeah.
To approve the contract addendum to the city administrators employment.
Second that.
Right, Counselor, the motion was to approve the contract addendum to the city administrator employment contract made by Counselor Coker and seconded by Counselor Kenyon. Discussion. You want to start, Counselor Coker? Kenyon? Counselor Bjornson?
I'm sorry, you cut out. Can you repeat that, please?
Just going around a horn for comments for discussion on the motion.
Gotcha. No discussion from me at this moment.
Okay,
Would this be the time that I would discuss, how we want to in, or is that after this?
why don't we vote on the motion and then we'll go into that discussion at this time.
Okay.
Yeah. I do have one comment on, and really a question, since I wasn't involved in part of the process here. Step 5, is that your last step was a 4 or a 3?
It was a 3.
Okay, that makes sense. Any other discussion? Okay, Jackie, would you call for a vote?
Counselor Bjornson.
Aye.
Mayor Tutchin.
Abstain.
Counselor Tarman.
Aye.
Counselor Kenyon. Aye. Counselor Coker. Aye. Counselor Hooker. Aye.
All right, motion passes. Counselor, maybe you want to start the discussion on assessment?
Yes, that the last city council meeting, which I believe was just. We discussed changing the process for the city administrators annual review process. And it was my suggestion that we would do his annual review between the months of February and April each year versus on his contract renewal date. And the reason for that is twofold. One is it would allow us to actually make a recommendation to the budget for an increase every year instead of reviewing him after the budget has already been done and assume increase added to the budget. So I think that would allow the council to actually participate in that discussion. And also, because the contract does have a 90-day clause, I feel like we should review his performance prior to that 90 days. That makes sense. And I know that, I'm pretty sure that we did it by consensus that we would want to do that, but I thought I should also bring this forward. Because we have. Do you think we should do a motion to start the process to do that? Or is that a thing that we do?
Like to have the process formalized and maybe bring it back for a vote. But it's just my. Councilman Bernardson, do you have any second item here?
No,
Dr. Coker?
I don't.
Sounds good. My only concern is with the taking it all the way to the end of April. Really close to the 90-day window, because you want to turn, if you turn over contract 1 July. Might have to massage that.
Right, oh, I assume that the contract turnover on data.
I think they try to be with the fiscal year, but obviously circumstances sometimes dictate otherwise. But, so every CA that comes in is not always going to have that odd date that things has.
Sure, and every CMOs.
Right.
And if, as long as the process is only adjusted to accommodate that for the process as well. And
Okay, so CA, if we could, for the next agenda, next meeting, give an agenda item that would outline the process, the evaluation, and want to defer that again, refer together.
I mean, we are meeting on. And then I think it's the, so it's going to be the third Wednesday, so is that? I don't know if there'd be time, honestly, to get it ready for the next meeting, but maybe.
Right. Yes, after. So are you okay with referring to your committee?
Actually, no, and I only am saying that because if we're gonna try to consider starting his annual review process in February of this year. It would probably be able to go through in that short.
Have a short observation period. Yeah, again. Month.
I know, but I feel like that's a better thing to do than to wait another year. Especially, you know, for the budget. We only invite one other to think that.
That's the process. Okay, when we do that, we'll have you originate a. Give it to James and report it out to the entire council on it. Have it. Do the next meeting of the first meeting. We're at 10.4, which is the bus fare funding and fee waiver request. Brock Butterfield, he's in the room to discuss it. James, do you want to introduce this?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. I'll just give a brief overview. I know Brock is here to give a presentation, and part of this presentation is in council packet. Very impressive amount of information. Event is by far the largest event we have had in Oak Ridge in many years. 1,200 people for the event. And that was just a one-day event. This year we're doing 3 days. Everything has been very professional from Mr. Butterfield. Multiple ways of advertising on social media and other platforms. It's a big event. Costs approximately $40,000 to put on. He's requesting a lot of money from the city, specifically $1,500 of TNP funds, $1,000 from TRT, and $5,900 in rental fee waivers. And it's going to be up to council how far they want to go on each of those pots. But I will just say that myself and Rick, we've gone over his plans and just been very impressed. Attended the event 2 years ago. I think it's a benefit to the community. Really like to see it move forward. And with that, Brock, did you want to give more of an overview?
Depends on council's time. I'm not saying this having. Games, so
We've had it for a while, Brock, and thank you for that. Is there anything more that you'd like to add to that or highlight for that? Same time.
I just like to comment that the event is, while it's a for-profit event, it is I see more as a for-profit for our community. This event would be much easier to put on in a city like Keene or Springfield with infrastructure, but one of the main goals behind the event is to help the community, and I have something here that I contribute to our community. We council can kind of see the vision behind it, but I'm going to answer any questions you guys have.
And I noticed in reading through it, there's also a request to waive the 3-year rule because of the pandemic. Just so the council is aware of it.
Correct. So just a quick touch on that. We did apply for funds for the 2020 event, and we were pre-approved for $4,600. The event got canceled due to the pandemic, and we have had to hold off on it for the past 2 years. So one of the, I noticed in the RTP application was that apply for funds. So I'm hoping that council will maybe consider that year that 2020 got canceled, we can call that a wash and give me another year to kind of make sure the event is sustained.
Brock, that's year that was canceled or any of those funds expended at all?
Yes. So we were able to submit reimbursements for $3,107.
Usually I would ask for a motion, but given the fact we're verbal number here for figures, go into discussion first. So discussion or questions of Brock, and we'll start with.
I don't have any.
Just to compare to the previous one.
The only question I have, and I have heard a lot about the event. Amazing. And there's some people in from the city. Yes, I'm just more financially the way our city is. How much we can to do, even though I think everybody here. For now, what we can afford, so that's the one thing I would be concerned about.
Can I ask a question on that? Sure. So RTP and TRT funds, do they keep accruing each year if they're not used? If so, is there a certain amount that is in there right now that would be public information to ask about?
All public information. I think James may have sent it. You,
I have it pulled up. So right now, the balance in the TRT fund is 36,477. And the balance in the RTP fund is 27,378. However, I do have questions about those numbers, so that a little bit when we get to staff stuff. That's what it actually.
and James, are any of those number commitments or any other commitments that we have on those funds already?
To my knowledge, the commitments are in
No, because that already included the chamber's request, so
That was gonna be fun.
correct.
And Councilor Keenan, do you have any other discussion or questions?
I do have a question for Brock. Obviously, you've already been planning this event, you probably already invited people. But what is your timeline to know whether or not you would be able to be approved for this?
Timeline, is it, so if I get the funds or not, whether the event would go on?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what kind of a time crunch you're under. And I'll preface that a little bit, because normally our process is for an application like this to come to the RTP and unfortunately, just 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we made a change in resolution. We're going to need to ask people to jump on that committee, and before we can actually meet again in order to comply with our resolution. So that process could take a while. That might be why it came to council tonight instead. But normally that committee would review like where our funds are at, and just kind of delve into the project, invite you to come and give us a full presentation. Considering that's all not happening, I just wondered if there's a deadline for you to know, because I'd like to ask our people to have more time to look into what we did.
So I'll ask you a question to that, and then I can probably give you an answer. When do you think, if you were able to meet, that you would be able to make a decision?
Oh, I think if we had just to the next council. To get more information.
The one challenging part, and I don't know if you need me to be there or not, but I'm dealing with some family matters in Utah. So I'm kind of relocated there, we're back. I thought a flight to make this meeting, hopefully answer everything that I could. To answer your question, I needed to know about funding a month ago, but it's slow progress. We don't do the right procedure. So I had also learned that there was no longer a university theater committee. That's why I was presenting here. So sooner than later would be great. I have on my credit card to hopefully get or but you know, I'm confident with the amount of people we had in the first year that wouldn't happen. So any help from council is going to be enormous in any way. Just waiving the park fees is close to $6,000 that gets cut off the budget. So, maybe a solution is we can meet somewhere in the middle where it's not all the funding that I'm asking for, but it's fee waiver and then partial funds, stuff like that.
Good idea. And then pick up the other piece in the future.
Which other things?
Like if we discussed the fee waiver and the RTMP portion of it tonight.
Yeah.
And then maybe discuss later date the TRT.
Yeah.
Which is the bigger ask. And you probably need that.
Yeah.
Sooner rather than later. It's just, due to my own personal stuff going on and the holidays, I hadn't been able to get a list of questions together to the finance director, to give answers to the planning person. So from my personal perspective, I'd like more information.
So Brian, we can accommodate remote participation. Instead of having a flat.
Yeah, totally. Might be out of the country for a family vacation, but I will make it work. You let me know.
As long as the time don't change. I personally prefer to cover it all in package,
Okay.
so, we could get a motion to correct. Committee.
But there is not.
Yeah, there's no committee and we've got to fill 6 seats on that committee. So I don't see that happening.
The old resolution, we recently had, council. Maybe now it has.
Well, how about interim to do all that work? Gonna be the admin committee or the staff.
Yeah, well, it's possible, the questions that I have. She might know off the top of her head, but generally she would want to probably look at her.
Yeah. So why don't we postpone this to the next council meeting? And work through the package. Things. And if we need a short work session, this council do that. Makes sense.
And I would not expect you to be back to that next meeting. I think if we have any more questions. Or we could just.
So does someone want to make a motion to postpone this?
Table this item. Table the vote. Postpone. Move to postpone this. Agenda item to the next meeting. Next meeting. For his knowledge.
We want to answer about this. Yeah. So the motion was to postpone this agenda item to the meeting that occurs on January 19th. Made by Councilor Kenyon, seconded by Councilor Hooker. Any other discussion? Councilor Johnson, I forgot to ask, do you have anything to say?
No.
Okay. Jack, you call for a vote.
Mayor Kitchen.
Aye.
Councilor Tarbin.
Aye.
Councilor Bjornson.
Aye.
Councilor Kenyon. Aye. Councilor Coker. Aye. Councilor Hooker. Aye.
Passed unanimous. Thanks very much, Brian, for the presentation as well. The time you have here. No worries.
So you get a chance one later again, the application process. That's where. So. You have to wait till January 1st to apply for. Year round, anytime. 18 months ahead, your
Okay.
event
Oh,
for future knowledge.
yeah.
Great, we're down to 10.5, which is city council vacancy and appointment process. Okay. Introduce that, please.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. Council, as you know, obviously not resign on New Year's Eve. That resignation was accepted. Therefore, we have a vacancy on council. worked with Mayor Hutchin to come up with a proposed timeline process to choose a new counselor. What I'm suggesting is that we post the vacancy immediately, meaning tomorrow. Leave that open for 30 days. Applications due 5 p.m. on February 5th. Then have a work session council on February 9th to review the applications and interview all of the candidates. That work session, which will then allow council to appoint new counselor February 16th meeting. So that is our suggestion. I will mention that past precedent, we have had it open for 30 days. That's where it came up with 30 days. In the work session, you think it's reasonable to have those interviews separate. That's the suggestion.
Thanks, CA. Can I hear a motion?
Need to approve the proposed process timeline to appoint the city councilor, full council's boss.
All right, the motion was to move to approve the proposed process and timeline to appoint new city councilor to fill Councilor Slidoff's vacancy, and that was made by Councilor Tarman and seconded by Councilor Coker. Discussion. Okay.
I just have one question. I've never seen it where it's called. And that kind of has me concerned that it's, to me, it's not a.
To the public, the staff have taken. I'm open to whatever people are comfortable with.
Yeah. So the way the ballot vote would work, and this is new state law, you could do a ballot where everybody turns in a ballot, which is semi-secret, but then it has to be read out. So it would be like Councilor Hooker votes for candidate X. Mayor Hutchin votes for candidate Y. So it is announced, but it's just kind of to prevent a kind of undue influence or during the vote. It's been used a lot. But again, it can also just be voice vote.
Right, yeah, as long as I,
But
as long as I know.
yeah, it's not, it can't be secret.
Right.
It's just a way to.
Any
I'm just reviewing this agenda item because I didn't remember reading that, so maybe I missed reading this. If you want to come back to me.
Councilor Johnson, do you have any discussion?
Not at this time.
You.
My only concern was the ballot vote, as long as it's gonna be read.
And so I assume this was processes. Get verified. Over.
Does Lane County do anything with it after we get money? They want to do something.
Well, no, we do background checks.
Okay.
Police department.
Yeah.
It's quick.
For council,
So, in our,
Getting the border on.
I don't.
you have to sign.
Oh, yeah.
I can get back to you on that, but
The only reason I'm pointing it out is because I know the council's discussed it before that. You can actually be. If you criminal, the only thing that would. That's being elected to office is if during your term you were convicted of a felony with a 6-month year, which would be removed. But to be elected, you can have a criminal history a mile long, I mean, or appointed. You It's in the.
They do go through some checks to make sure they meet the requirements.
The 1 year. Is the living income.
And Councilor Kenny, back to you. Anything else?
Yeah.
Comments I guess I would have is, I think that this process allows for a large population to have the opportunity to put a package in. The more you have to choose from, the more better choice you have the opportunity to make. So be the 30-day period. This is the process to work through it. So with that, there's no other comments.
Just real quick, Mayor, I forgot to explain that my intention of posting the job would be to require a resume and the regular city Oak Ridge job application. Unless you needed, there was more guidance. Council, they want something else, an essay or.
Do you mean like a volunteer application? It's not really a.
Well, that's what I'm,
paid job?
that's why I was discussing it, because I wanted to make sure I knew whatever council wants. So yeah, we could use the volunteer application. That's pretty. But
You see, in the past, we've always used the same form that anyone would apply to be on committee, maybe. Look at that, but don't know that. There's never been a job.
that's fine with me.
But I do support a resume, just so we know that. We should be able to provide that.
Even though we don't have to provide a resume to get on a ballot.
We do a lot of that.
Well. Yes. You go out and talk to people. But this would be just.
Well, I think. If I may, if you know, usually candidates get to put something in the voter pamphlet. I like the resume.
You didn't have to. I don't know, I said.
This was. I heard this is the first time it didn't show up. You had to submit it.
Problem, I've never submitted one like that twice. Never been told I needed.
You don't have to, but then. Your name would kind of be blank on this.
All right, so any concerns over get it played out here? All right, call for a vote with Jack.
Mayor Kitchen,
Yes.
Councilor Tarman,
Aye.
Councilor Kenyon. Aye. Councilor Hooker. Aye. Councilor Bjornson.
Aye.
Councilor Coker. Aye.
Unanimous, motion passes. All right, moving on, business from the city administrator, first up is 11.1. Staff update on the Hill Street turnaround issue. Rick, give it, Rick, you sort of gave a pretty extensive text. So probably don't have to step through each one of that, but anything you want to do to introduce it or anything you want to do to speak to it?
Not so much, Mayor and Council, on the November 3rd meeting, it was requested that we come up with a best estimate that's been provided here, and also provided here is historical planning efforts for that area. Yeah, you all have the information in front of you. If you have any questions, I'm absolutely here. One of the other things that was requested was costs spent with working through this. We've already spent $1,790 to our engineer, our city staff through all the workings of this, including securing the park, the entire park, the whole perimeter, moving rocks around. We have already put about 50 hours worth of staff time into it. So we've already put about $4,455 worth of staff and engineering. So if you have any questions, I'm definitely open to.
So let's open up the question.
Just recited the.
Oh, 17, it's 1,790. Engineering. Consulting. Drawing of plans that showed where about the pipe was, that kind of.
Seeing that.
No, unfortunately, I did not get that in time for the packet.
Oh, okay.
We just got the last bill, that the most recent bill.
Okay, so I'm wondering if you give us a response to Ms. Brewer's.
Which part?
She said a lot of stuff.
That's exactly right, which I'm kind of curious of which part you would like me to respond to.
Don't know. Just, I mean, what is your, can you give me an update on what you think the city should do at this point in response to this whole issue?
So that's more of a planning question. So I think that we should continue the way we plan. And it's been planned to be a park. I think that's what we should continue.
That area where that's planned to be a park.
That's exactly correct. Yes.
It's in the area.
Yes. No, vegetative buffer. And that's out of our Parks Master Plan. And that can be found on page 36 of the Parks Master Plan. It was also considered for park use again in 2019 during the Oak Ridge Mill Park Concept Plan. You can find that on that plan on page 17. We could still have a park, because we could parcel off. I mean, it's a zoning and land use and zoning issue. We don't usually say this piece of this parcel is for this piece is for this. So the whole parcel is zoned. And the comp plan has stated that it's to be for park use.
Right, but I guess what I'm. Right. Now.
Right.
It can be a park.
Correct.
Objection is still have a valve right there, just better, more secure, and it has less chance of traffic harming it.
So as with any,
So that would be a problem, but leaving it the way it is isn't.
so as with any development that comes across a planner's desk, they have to compare that development to the existing zoning plans and the existing comprehensive plans. And that's what keeps it in line, I guess, for better words. That's what keeps some planners from just arbitrarily making decisions. That's what we have to work as base of decisions off of is the zoning and comprehensive plan. And that's what I got to work with at the moment. It's those plans.
So am I understanding correctly that that means that maybe at the time when it was decided to make that a park, wasn't necessary, it was something in the comprehensive plan, make sure that that was a secured.
Secured valve or
The issue was.
the issue we're discussing, it's multifaceted. It's not the valve. I mean, it is the valve, but it's also the street. Because, and yes, that street was planned that way at the time of the comprehensive plan. As far as the infrastructure timing goes, to be honest, I don't have a date for when that was put in. All that was, we lost in a fire in Public Works, but nonetheless, that street in comparison to the park plans did exist during those plans and during the comprehensive plans, yes.
Yeah, the street as it is now. And so are you suggesting that there's a recommendation to do something to the street?
Well, the reason I brought up the street is because the issue stems from the lack of the street or the fact that it's a dead end street. There's lack of no turnaround. If there was a turnaround in there, then we wouldn't be here having this discussion. If there was a turnaround. So that's why I think that the layout and planning of the street and the comprehensive plan are all aspects of what we're discussing today.
The other discussion. Yes, Council.
Is about placed incorrectly or is it placed correctly? Just to refer back to what Mr. read.
As far as I know, it's correct. It may not be best practices, but because of the depth that we had to already go to, we were just kind of forced. Anybody who does construction or does remodels or does additions to older homes or older infrastructure understands that you are stuck adding to what is already there. And because of what is already there is what set the depth of that valve.
Mr. Johnson, anything?
Is it the city's position then that this will continue to be blocked off?
I don't believe the city staff has set a position yet.
No, we have not. So,
So,
because I'm not up to speed on all this, when I was looking at this screen the other day, so the red bills here that's proposed for
this image here.
Yeah.
Some proposed, some exist. Yes.
So
Yes. Yep. Right. And it was, this area was also used in the master trails plan. I did not include that one because those would refer to the levy and the proposal of a turnaround would not affect the levy. So. You're still working through that. I have a draft I'm working on that will need to be sent to legal. What we're trying to not do is just close the door on people who already have been using that access for 50 plus years. 50 years might be exact. No, that's probably pretty close. We're trying to find balance between closing the door and being a good neighbor and following the ordinance. Those are all still in the process.
So then we are maybe
They've been using that for 50 plus years. They do have some considerations there. They do have a vested right because they've been using it so long. That one's a little different. I don't know that it's definitely not something that's used as a turnaround for 50 plus years. And I don't believe that there's a vested right in that. No, I do not.
anything else? See if I could ask the next meeting, we bring forward an agenda bill with a city.
so would that include like
Is
think it's a council. Yeah. Okay. All right, given that, we'll move on. Board committee commission reports, you guys, seen this for a while, but. Guys, staff. That's information. So my thought is that the oral presentation or oral update. Brief. Particularly draft meeting or forum. I would like to know that. And well. Be made by either the chair or the council. I will go down through the list and there. So first, 12.1, which is admin committee and that's opinions. Right. Your comments.
Admin, I believe I am. Okay, so our meeting this week. I reported that the administration committee met very few times in 2022. We were short a member and lacked a quorum. What we were working on was carried over from the prior year, which was the City of Oak Ridge fee schedule. So we were tasked by the council in summer of 2021. We were working on compiling a spreadsheet of how our fee schedule compared to that of other cities in Oregon. We do have a scheduled meeting. We have a new member added to our committee last month. We have a committee meeting scheduled. Well, actually, we're finalizing right now the exact date and time. I'll update James. I thought it would be the second Wednesday at 5, but might change. Second versus third Wednesday might change.
Thanks very much. I'm going to ask the councilors to stay a question all to the end. 12.2 is Parks and Community Services Committee. Is that you, Greg, or?
Sure, absolutely. So in the Parks and Community Services meeting, so I have a couple months worth of agendas that I reviewed because for most of those I was not yet here. So for example, some of the things that was discussed in August, they were discussed Banner Park updates. We had a presentation from Tree City USA, discussed the refurbishment of the Lost Wagon Trail sign at Green Waters Park, status of the community gardens, Greenwater Amphitheater, and committee openings. I don't know if you want me to go through each month. So to make it short, a lot of things that came up multiple times was Banner Park updates. Submitted a grant for Banner Park updates. Unfortunately, that was not, we did not get the grant. Another thing that's been greatly discussed is Green Waters Park Amphitheater, improving it, renaming it, or trying to find corporate sponsorship to help us afford to recite it because it's in pretty bad shape. Another thing that since I've been back that I've been twice, we've reviewed the TGM code updates and the housing needs analysis updates. When I get updates, I'll bring it to that committee just to share with them, get their input. And then for the next coming up meeting, we are actually getting a guest presentation from Travel Lane County regarding pump tracks. We're going to discuss community garden, city documents at the library. We're going to discuss that. I think that's an exciting one. Looking for Horton Park community champions because we know that Horton Park right next to the WAC. If we're going to improve the WAC, we're going to try to put some focus into Horton Park as well. And then brainstorm ideas for, again, sponsorships, corporate or other, to rehab the amphitheater. So that's a quick and ugly.
Well, great. Public safety reform yet?
To the. Actually, more. We are the end of the. Two. Will not be completed in time for the due date. Obviously, it's. Already late. We are gonna have a meeting later this month. I think we decided this. Oh, the third Monday. 5 to 6 p.m. will be that meeting day.
Very much. Wrong again, for charter review stuff.
Sorry, Mayor, just a second. I guess the audio cut out again, hearing online, but correct, they no longer work.
You guys hear us now?
I can hear staff pretty well, but I can't hear counselors when they talk very well. I don't know if there's a microphone placement issue or what.
Right.
Oh, the microphone moved down there.
Yeah, like I said, it sounded great when Oprah was here earlier today, but it sounds like it has gotten worse.
Sounds like they've got you okay now, except they can't hear us. Try to speak loudly. All right, Councilor Kenyon, back to the Charter Review Subcommittee.
Thank you. The Charter Review Subcommittee met up until August of this past year. We have been reading and notating questions about the way the charter is written in a shared Google Doc. 18 out of 37 sections have already been reviewed. The plan was to then go through it a second time for revision, ideas, and included. So what we're doing is just asking questions so that everyone understands together how they're interpreting the charter as it is now, and then we'll move where we make proposals for changes. A member of the committee suggested that with only 7 members attending, was felt that we needed to advertise for more members in order to have more people participate in the process. And we agreed to wait to meet again until advertising had been done to try and get more members. If we have that and we haven't received any new applications for this particular committee. But then the fires hit and then the holidays, and so we're actually going to start reading again this month to reassess where we're at and back up again.
Mr. McNatt, still the chairman?
Yes. Well, this meeting will return again.
And review one more time for the budget committee. So,
I was the chairman, so
on the third request,
was Mayor Howard.
and this.
That's.
Okay.
Or with spring.
Okay, library board, since split office, you want to, well, yeah. We'll just let that go. And I think we got a pretty good understanding of the current status of the RTNP TRT from you, later discussions. Question on it later.
I actually do want to
Okay.
say something on that. When we were meeting this past year, the counselors. We were only discussing RTNP. So this adds TRT to that. That's what we'll be working on, moving forward, is trying to get a proposal for council to consider how we're going, the process for by using TRT.
0.9 planning commission.
Alrighty. So since July, the planning commission has, we have had 3 conditional use permits. 2 of them from marijuana use, 1 for a conditional use for Texas Pride to sell trailers out of the industrial park. We've had a minor petition from the Highland Ranch properties. And 2 months where the meetings were canceled. And in November, we had a work session to discuss educational and planning commission goals, to review TGM code updates and discussions, H&A housing needs analysis updates. December was one of the ones canceled, and coming up in January, we will have our second TGM zoning code evaluation and assistance project presentation by the consultants MIG/APG. They're crunching the numbers and the data from the public or the open house we had, and they're gonna come back to the planning commission and present to them for another work session.
Thanks. Point 10 is Kodak, not have a forum. Here.
Let's see here. The meetings for the WAC subcommittee, they are held in the conference room here on first Monday of the month from 5:30 to 6:30 for each one. If new information comes in, then we have a second meeting, and that will be on the third Monday, strictly the first. Right now, we have 8 members consisting of former Chrissy Hallett and former Bobby Whitney, who are now citizens. Myself, Marietta Thompson, Lauren O'Neill, Jamie Lloyd, Trudy Hammond, Sherry Kendall, and Becky Polly. We are asking and wanting more citizen input and members. We've actually talked about having possibly like designing or that type of thing. 4 pods with 5 businesses or organizations in each. Some of the outside businesses, organizations that we just possibly being involved would be Arapa, Rain, OSU Extension Office, who one gentleman did come and talk to us about that. Lane Workforce, Women's Space, the Food Bank, Adult Senior Services, DHS, and there are several others. There's a long list. During the Cedar Creek fire, Chrissy and James met with fire management leads to identify kind of what we need in the WAC or with the WAC supply for possibly for future emergencies or disasters. The main hub for that. We have not met since November of 22, but we will resume our meetings starting February 6th.
Thanks very much. Take a breath because your next is 12.12 Central Fire District Subcommittee.
Well, so those meetings are held the 4th Thursday of the month, 6:30 to 7:30 in the fire department meeting. Right now we have 9 members consisting of citizens, Chrissy Hallett, Slurpee Arnson for the city of Oak Ridge, Mayor Delynn William and Kelly Packard of Westford for Westford, John Melandon and Skip Baker for Hazeldale, and then C.A. Clevenger and Fire Chief Hallett. We've created a citizen application to try to get more people from each district to come in, be part of this. Last month, all 3 entities, preface that, we've been working with retired Fire Chief Steve Abel on how to proceed. He's provided consulting services and completed several mergers and created models all over the state of Oregon. So he is very well versed in this. Last month, all 3 entities approved Steve to move forward on a feasibility study for all jurisdictions. Oak Ridge Council approved $9,000. City of Westboro approved $1,000 and Hazel $1,000. Our last meeting was, and I'm pretty sure was November, at which time Steve Abel spoke about his process of working in special districting. we will resume meetings in February.
You know, if he started it ever yet.
As far as I know, yes, he had.
Thank you very much. At this point, we'll ask if there are any questions that any council has or any. Hearing none, we'll move forward. We're up to ordinances, resolutions, and public comments, 13.1 audit committee resolution. 2022, I have a number. But in any case, Councilor Kenyon, you are the audit committee chair as well as the admin committee chair who authored this. So would you like to introduce this and or would you like to change?
I don't mind introducing it if there's a form in here. I don't have to want the fact yourself. In 2019, the attached audit committee resolution was prepared by the administration committee, but was never passed by city council. On December 15th, 2022, it passed the first reading. Second reading is required for adoption. If adopted, resolution 6-2022 will reestablish the audit committee, will repeal and replace resolutions 15-2013, 2-20. The options tonight are to pass the resolution after a second reading, or recommend a public hearing to be held, or reject the resolution and send it back to the CA for revision. Recommended recommendation from the city is to adopt the resolution for the second reading. Would you like me to read it? Don't mind at all. Okay. Resolution 6-2022. A resolution repealing and replacing resolutions 15-2013, 2-2012, City of Oak Ridge Audit Committee. Whereas the City of Oak Ridge Council desires to repeal and replace previous audit committee resolutions. And whereas the purpose of the audit committee be to aid city staff in the selection of highly qualified city auditors, which are clear and complete transmittal of all audit results to the city council and the community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Oak Ridge City Council by the Oak Ridge City Council as follows. Section 1, establishment and membership. The Oak Ridge Audit Committee is hereby established. Committee shall consist of 3 voting members, 2 city councilors, 1 Oak Ridge Budget Committee member. Ex officio members are the city finance director. The committee will, at its first meeting in January of each year, or at any point in the year by majority vote, elect a chair, vice chair, and a secretary of the voting member. Section 2, term. Citizen Budget Committee member committee shall be appointed for a 2-year term. Council representative shall serve for their elected term. Section 3, quorum and rules. 2 voting members of the committee shall constitute a quorum. The vote of 2 members of the committee shall be required to take any action, notwithstanding the foregoing. Chair or the chair, in the chair's absence, the vice chair may establish the date and time of the next committee meeting. Section 4, responsibilities. Responsibilities of the audit committee shall be as follows. Number 1, review with the finance department and or staff those firms or individuals proposed for appointment as city auditors in succeeding years. Number 2, recommend to the city council the appointment of the auditing firm that the committee deems best suited to perform the annual audit. Number 3, discuss as necessary with the city auditors any additional or particular areas of inquiry or audit focus which the auditors or the committee deem desirable or appropriate. Number 4, review the communication to the governing body presented by the auditors.
discuss the material weaknesses and or significant deficiencies, if any, and best practices, recommendations, if any, with the finance department and or staff. Verify that the auditor's recommendations are implemented as appropriate. Report to the city council. Number 5, other activities as assigned by the council. Number 6, keep records of minutes for each meeting per ORS 192.650. Number 7, annual reports will be completed in the 4th quarter of the calendar year. Number 8, reports or recommendations of the audit committee shall be in writing, considered advisory in nature, shall not be binding on the mayor or the city council. Section 5, conduct. A member of the committee may be removed from service on a committee by the city council after a hearing for misconduct or non-performance of duties. The request of the committee members via a majority passed by the council on this day. This is all we actually fill out with the signatures. The effective date is 30 days after the date of the event. Which would be item 30 days.
Thanks very much, Counselor. Before I ask for a motion, I do want to clarify our last names. Since it's passing, it should be 123.
I actually just checked it and we're okay because the numbering, based on the rules of procedure, the numbering occurs when it's introduced and then introduced.
All right, so I will ask for a motion.
I move we adopt audit committee resolution 06-2022, which will repeal and replace resolutions 15-2013 and 2-2012.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, the motion is to move to adopt the audit committee resolution 06-2022, which will repeal and replace resolutions 15-2013 and 2-2012. Made by Councilor Hooker, seconded by Councilor Harrison. Before we go to discussion by the council rules and procedures, while we don't we have to offer a public comment before the resolution or ordinance adopted. So at this point, I will open it up to anyone in the room that wants to make a comment specific to this agenda bill, which is the audit committee resolution. Speak to that. Being done online, and during online participants that would like to speak to the audit committee resolution. Okay, we'll have discussion now, and if we could start with Councilor Johnson, do you have any comments today?
None.
You, Mr. Coker?
No.
Great, and none for me. So, well, actually, I do have one. While I am okay with it, I still have concerns about section 5 not aligning with the council rules procedures concerning the removal of committee members. That said, yeah, we call for a vote.
Councilor Sharman,
Aye.
Councilor Pinion, aye. Councilor Coker, aye. Councilor Hooker, aye. Councilor Bjornson,
Aye.
Mayor Cutchin,
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. We'll move on. That's going to be item 15 appointments. 15.1 is the appointment of the fiscal year 22-23 budget officer. PA, you want to introduce that?
Sure. So by ORS, so by state law, we have to appoint a budget officer. It's also in our city charter. Traditionally, it's been the city administrator, and I'm willing to take that on, since I will have a lot of help, right?
Yeah, obviously, the recommendation for appointing, do I hear a motion?
I move that we appoint the city administrator to serve as the city's budget officer.
Okay, the motion was to appoint the city administrator to serve as the city's budget officer, made by Councilor Kenyon, seconded by Councilor Coker. Discussion. Clear? All right, Jackie, call for a vote.
Councilor Thurman. Councilor Hooker. Aye. Councilor Coker. Aye. Councilor Bjornson.
Aye.
Councilor Kenyon. Aye. Mayor Hutchin.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Next up is committee appointments, as I said early on in the meeting. Commissioner Partain is unavailable, so we will not address that particular motion, but there are two other. Paige, do you want to introduce this?
Sure. So as required by council rules of procedure in chapter 7, mayor with council approval shall appoint members of any board, commission, or committees authorized by the council. That's to be done this meeting of the year. So, it's assumed that every councilor will continue on their committee that they have. Unless they voice that concern, now would be the time to do so. Obviously, we have a new councilor, Carmen, who leads a committee, and there's an opening on parks and community services. It's a natural place to place them. That was a suggestion there, and then of course the library board also needs someone, and we didn't know about that by the time I wrote the agenda bill, so I couldn't address that. So that's up for grabs as well. Councilor Norman wants that one too. I don't know. We can sign it as well. No.
Okay, yeah. So do I hear a motion, recommend a motion number 2? Motions?
Councilor Tarman to the Parks and Community Services.
All right, the motion is to appoint Councilor Tarman to the Parks and Community Services Committee, made by Councilor Hooker, seconded by Councilor Coker. Any discussion? Hearing none, Jackie, can you call for a vote? Aye.
Councilor Kenyon. Aye. Hooker. Aye. Councilor Hooker. Aye. Councilor Bjornson.
Aye.
Councilor Tarman.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. So can I hear a motion for recommended motion number 3?
We appointed Mayor Hutchins to the audit committee.
Second. Chance, seconds.
I'll second it.
Okay. All right, the motion is to appoint the mayor to the audit committee, made by Counselor Tarman and seconded by Counselor Johnson. Any discussion? Counselor Kenyon.
I wanted to just discuss that in the resolution, the resolution says that there's 2 counselors and 1 budget member. So being mayor. They say, later it's because it's 6 council. Well, on all of them. I guess what I'm pointing out of is that I think that since the mayor has so many committees that are outside committee, I think it's like that.
Okay, right. Yield some of those off,
Oh, is that right? I thought, I assumed maybe they have those.
some are sometimes you may, but others.
Anyone.
The other that you done,
Yeah,
the other discussion.
actually, I did have one other thing is, it's also been, common in past practice to ask the council if they wanted, if anyone would want whatever we're discussing right now.
Yeah, and if you're on target there with if you are on target there with your concerns, then you can take a vote and. Any other discussion? Okay, Jackie, call for a vote.
Counselor Tarman,
Aye.
Counselor Coker. Counselor Hooker,
Okay,
Counselor Kenyon,
nay,
Counselor Bjornson,
Nay.
Mayor Cutchin.
Abstain. Motion fails. We will entertain another motion if there is one, or move on. The other motions.
I move to appoint Counselor Bjornson to the audit committee.
Second that.
Okay, motion was to appoint Counselor Bjornson to the audit committee, made by Counselor Kenyon, seconded by Counselor Coker. Any further discussion? Jackie, call for a vote, please.
Mayor Cutchin,
Abstain.
Counselor Hooker,
Aye.
Counselor Bjornson.
Aye.
Counselor Tarman,
Aye.
Counselor Coker. Aye. Counselor Kenyon.
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously. Moving on. Down to public comment in the room. Is there any further public comment? Just speaking today, because there's no quorum and there's no chairman, there's,
Or we did not go.
we need it.
Put someone into that.
Well, we will eventually, but I think that the resolution is still pending on it, so I didn't want to.
Okay, I'm just curious. Thank you.
Any public comment in the room?
Thank you. I wanted to reiterate to the counselors that don't know, I've currently lived in my home for 18 years. My house faces this field that I'm referring to, and it's never once been closed off. I've been approximately 8 years ago, it's 5 years, put in pouring underneath the levee. Any money that has been spent on this well field project has been done in a color you're behind. It has been done because it was brought to city council that best practices were not being used. It pertained to the easement, I pertain to just randomly blocking things off out of nowhere.
That's where all this came from. And per Ed Hodges and Lane County Drinking Water Authority, best practices should have been used on this valve, especially with how close it is to the street. And then the fact that this field was left open, this goes to show that the best practices have never been used. And according to Rick, this has been zoned for a park, yet in the maps that I gave to Michelle, you can see I highlighted and circled the area in question, and no part of it is designated. There's a park around it, but that area is not. So this whole topic has been stretched out with the claim of needing to use best practices, but as we can see, they're being used really loosely when it comes to this. So this pipeline goes directly from the valve underneath our road, which is dirt. And then to the fire hydrant that's sitting 3 feet above ground level. That is supposedly buried at 20 inches also. We've been driving over this every day for the last 20 years. It has never become an issue, but now because that valve is buried too shallow and best practices were not used and it was installed incorrectly by Public Works with no city engineers input or Lane County input. Neither one of them have this valve on record, so specs or anything. We're literally going off what Rick and Public Works stating, but yet I have asked for that information multiple times and it's never been given to me. Not being offered right now. It's just, oh, this is what we need to do. And Hodges was not aware of this meeting, that email, or anything that's been going on as it's stated in Rick's agenda. He had no idea this was going on. And when my husband told Mr. Hodges what Rick had planned for that area, his laughter was all we could really hear, because it was, where are all these people gonna park? Where are they gonna go? This is just a field. He received a whole bunch of boulders from ODOT that were given to us. Part of that 50 man hours, all to be considered, that was relocating all those boulders from 58 to the well field, and they're all stacked there. And then they decided to take those boulders and reinforce it as best practices cover your rehab. So I'm going to be emailing all of you guys my talking points and the details and the conversation quotes from Ed Hodges. We'll recommend you call him and find out what he thinks, because we've been talking to us. So I'll be emailing everybody that now, as well as my technical points. Thank you again for bringing this up and allowing me to like for our street. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Burke. Comments? Any other public comment online? None, see none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn this meeting. Second that.
On favor? Yeah. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Everybody, I will,
It's